Hello there, everyone. My name is What's Your Deal, and I'm here today to talk to you about the roles of the various classes in Highlander. Now, this is all based on my personal experiences, so your idea of what each class should be doing might differ. So, if that's the case, just giving you a forewarning. So, with that said, let's begin. Let's start off with the scout. All right. The scout's primary job is, capturing the point, pushing the cart, grabbing the flag, running it out of the flag room, etc., etc. But that's only one part of his job. The other part of his job is hit and run, or if he's on defensive, protecting the flanks. He'll protect the flanks from spies, other scouts, anyone who's trying to get behind the enemy lines. He will calm out if there's anything coming into the area that shouldn't be there. If the combo is pushing in from a certain spot, he'll call it out. He'll scout things out, obviously. He's a scout, that's what he does. He'll calm things. But if he's on the aggressive, he'll do a few things. One, he'll go for their flanks, try to get a pick, or he'll just try to go in and do some damage and get out. He'll serve as a distraction. They'll all be focused on this scout that's moving all over the place, dealing damage to people, and then you come in and you do whatever you need to do. But the scout's other primary advantage is that when you pop an Uber or a crits, then that means that if when the Uber or the crits is done, and they're all wounded and depleted and they don't have much left to fight with, the scout cleans them up. He is a amazing cleaner class. He goes in, clears and kills whatever that's there, whoever might survive the Uber or the crits, and you gain your momentum. But not only just that, the scout is just an incredible DM class. He has really powerful weapons, incredible agility, and he doesn't need to damage himself to cover a certain amount of distance on the map. He's the fastest class, obviously. A scout with good aim and good dodging abilities is probably the most lethal player on your team. If you want a good example, look at Ruin. That's a pretty damn good example, in my opinion. Any invite level scout is just a powerhouse. You get them heals, they will deal damage, and they will fuck up everything that moves. That's pretty much the scout's, main strength. Is just his amazing damage output and speed coupled together into one really powerful class. So to go over again, objective oriented, powerhouse. That's pretty much just a scout in a nutshell. But keep in mind that while your job as a scout is to put out damage and get picks and you do all those other kind of things, don't forget to calm out what you see. Don't forget to work together with your other classes like the soldier and the spy to accomplish your objectives, and be mindful of where the combo is and where the mini sentries or sentries in general are, because that is your main counter. Anything that has auto aim is your counter. You should avoid it or wait until it's gone. So, with that said, let's build on the soldier. The soldier's main strength is his ability to fill in the gaps of your team. If you need someone to spy check, the soldier can do it. If you need someone to go for the medic, the soldier can do it. If you need someone to protect the flanks, he can do it. Whatever your team needs, and if something that it is a particular job or a role that is not being fulfilled, the soldier can fulfill that role. That is his main strength. And it doesn't even really matter, if he's using the shotgun or the gunboats, for example. Whether someone is a pocket soldier or a roaming soldier, it really doesn't make much of a difference. Either or, a good soldier can fulfill any role that his team needs, and he can do it just, on the whim. He'll take note of what's going on with his team, what's going on in the field, and he'll be, this particular job isn't being fulfilled. I'm gonna go ahead and go do this. There's someone who's not doing this. I should go do this, etc., etc. The soldier's primary job is just to fill in the gaps, plain and simple. So with that said, let's go and move on to the next class. The Pyro's job is to support a push or support a hold, to put pressure on the team and control the enemy's position on the map. A lot of people mistake the Pyro's role just purely on spy checking, but that's not his only job. He is just a great class to have with a combo. If you have a Pyro with a combo at all times, you have an immediate way to deal with any scouts or spies or anything that gets close to your combo, because he can reflect rockets. He can kill spies and scouts with a quick puff of his flamethrower, knock them in the air, hit them with the flare gun, they're dead. It's that simple. And because of his ability to reflect rockets, obviously, as I said before, he can reflect crits rockets, he can reflect crit stickies if he needs to, he can push back Ubers if he needs to. The Pyro has immense utility, and his ability to apply pressure to the enemy team is also important to note, because if you're applying pressure, that means the enemy team is moving in a more predictable manner. They're much more easier to control. Therefore, as I said before, pressure, it makes the Pyro better as a crowd control class. He can cause immense amount of panic, and that in turn makes the enemy team more predictable and makes them think about what they have. It makes them reassess the situation, and by the time they got a chance to actually reassess what's going on, your team can already act on that. They can actually move in and do something with it. So, yeah, pressure, support a push, support a hold, move enemy positions on the map. You want to be sticking with the combo at all times. You want to be able to support the combo and support their push or support the hold. And until they tell you, unless they tell you, hey, go help the engineer, you should be sticking with them, protecting them and doing everything they need you to do. If the mech decides to Uber you, you push the enemy team back. You push them all the way back to the spawn or push them all the way at the point. That is a really nice ability of the Pyro. So, that's Pyro in a nutshell. On the next class. Demoman. One word for Demoman. Damage, 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 damage. Damage is your primary role. If you are not top damaging on your team, you are not doing your job as a Demoman. You need to be putting out damage as much as possible, putting good sticky traps where they need to be. If you need to use the pills for up close because someone's in your face, you can do that. But you need to be putting your stickies out there, and you need to be putting as much pressure and damage on the team as possible. You need to be putting out huge amounts of power. And if you're not doing that, then, well, then it gives the enemy team chances to push in or, some other stuff. And this really helps out your picking classes if you're putting out damage on the enemy team, because it gives them room to work. They're distracted with the Demoman that's just putting out these stickies everywhere, and it gives your spy room to work. He goes in, stabs them when they're distracted. The scout can come in and get a nice little pick on their demo, because obviously that's the Demoman's main counter as a scout because of his agility and his ability to dodge most of Demoman's weapons. And he can go in, do what he needs to do, and the soldier can go in and do what he needs to do. If you're doing your job as demo, you create a huge amount of openings for a push, or to push to increase the area of your hold, to increase the area in which you are holding a certain, defending a certain point or objective. If you're doing your job correctly, you create more openings for your team to push in and act on. So, that's Demoman's job in a nutshell. On the next class. Heavy. What people don't seem to realize about Heavy is that while it does have a pretty low skill floor, the Heavy skill and the difference in what makes a bad Heavy between a good Heavy is game sense. Knowing positioning, knowing where you need to be, knowing who you need to protect, knowing where your team needs to go, what they need to do. You are to be a roadblock. Your job is to be literally a main wall for the enemy team. They should be thinking, oh shit, we can't go there. There's a Heavy. And with that in mind, they will retreat. You will be forcing the enemy team to retreat because you are a massive fucking wall. You are literally a tank that puts out huge amounts of damage. If you want to analyze a combo in this sort of manner, imagine the Heavy as the armor of a combo and the Demoman as the cannon. if you want to put it that way. The heavy doesn't put out nearly as much damage as the Demoman, but he does serve as the primary defensive aspect of the combo. He protects the medic, he protects the demo, he spy checks, he does anything that's an immediate threat to his team, he takes care of it. And when his team needs to push in, he gets in there and he forces the enemy team to back up. He forces them to reassess situation and leave the area. He is mobile area denial. Essentially a sentry gun on the move, if you want to put it that way. So, yeah, that's the heavy's job. But if you want to get better as a heavy, look at improving your game sense. That is the main thing you should be focusing on as a heavy. Aiming and tracking, etc., that's not really... That just kind of goes without saying. But your main thing that you should be working on is improving your game sense, improving your knowledge of how the game should flow. Once you understand that and you start to improve your game sense, you start to improve the knowledge of the game overall, you'll become better at heavy. So, let's move on to the next class. Engineer. You are primarily the base guy. You literally set up a point for your team to fall back to. If a hold or a push fails, you give your team a point to fall back to. You give them a place to go. You set up a teleporter, you get them across the map. You have a dispenser there to get them ammo. You have a sentry or a mini sentry that deters the enemy from approaching. People think that the engineer's job is just area denial, but he pretty much is just the base holder. He gives your team a front to hold. He puts a sentry down. If I could put a sentry down in this area, he puts a dispenser down. He puts a teleporter so he can get people across the map so they can keep up the pressure on the enemy team. And he just gives them, a place to go, essentially. On defense, he is your primary defensive powerhouse. He will defend a point because he has a level 3 sentry gun and a Wrangler. He's what allows you to hold a point. You can kill someone on the enemy team and, they have to respawn and all that jazz, but a level 3 sentry gun is a little bit more difficult to take down than that. And the longer it stays up, the better hold your team will have. On offense, though, when you introduce the mini sentries, teleporters are your main objective. You need to get a teleporter up, and you need to make sure your teammates can get to the places that they need to be as quickly as possible, so they can continue their push, or to get ready to be there in time to ready to push in. And when you place a mini sentry, it should either be protecting your flanks or supporting the push when your team goes in. Your main sentry needs to be in a spot where it can actually deal damage in a way that makes a difference. You don't want to put it in that secret spot unless you're trying to keep the enemy from getting behind your lines. But if your scout or your soldier is doing that job, then you should be putting your sentry gun in a spot where it can actually support the team. Your dispenser should be in a convenient spot where the team can get to it when they need to, and they need ammo or they need health. It needs to be a convenient spot that's easy to find and is out of immediate danger. Same goes for your teleporter. It needs to be in a spot that's easy to see, and when they go to the teleporter entrance and get to the exit, it's in a spot that's safe and it's not going to be putting them in a bad position. And yet at the same time, it gets them to where they need to be on the battlefield. So that's pretty much engineer in a nutshell. Let's move on to the next class, and this one is pretty important. And I'll explain the whole concept behind the combo. As I said before, the Demoman is the cannon, and the heavy is the tank. The medic is your main commander. He is what drives your team forward. If your medic goes down, you do not have a push, you do not have a hold, and you should fall back, because you will not hold a point or push on a point without a medic. It simply cannot be done. When a medic goes down, what you should be doing as a medic is spreading the heals. You should keep your team buffed and keep them alive, because what the enemy team is going to do is they're going to come after you. If your medic goes down, they will come after you next, because obviously they lose uber advantage and their mindset is, we need to gain uber advantage. We need to kill their medic. So naturally they'll come after you. So you should spread the heals around and be sure you have plenty of people there to protect you. Regarding Uber and crits, the power of the crits create comes from the enemy not suspecting it, or expecting it rather. You want to use the crits at a time where it can actually make a huge difference. If you know the enemy team isn't going to be expecting a crits krieg, you run in with it, you kill everybody you can, and you keep it going forward. It's a very aggressive, very offensive-oriented item. However, the metagun can easily counter a crits krieg. If the enemy team knows you're running a crits krieg, you're gonna be kind of screwed because then they'll be able to counter it very easily. They'll just wait for to either get Uber before you can and pop it, and that completely nullifies your crits. You cannot do shit because he'll just flash everybody. So you need obviously the crits krieg has the advantages, but you need to be learning how to use the Uber first. And the best way to do that is to gain game sense. You need to understand, okay, we have 9 up, they have 6 up, we can push on this. Or, okay, we only have 5 up, they have 8. We cannot push on that. We had to fall back. You have to have a good understanding of the game and how the game flows. And you have to understand when to fall back and when to push. And you have to be looking for opportunities in which you can't push. You cannot push on a scout down, for example. That's not enough. What you need to be pushing on is if they drop a heavy, or they drop a demo, or if their medic drops, or if they lose 3 or 4 of their people and you still have your 9, you can push on that, and you should be pushing on that immediately. When you have an opportunity to push, you should go. You shouldn't be sitting around being passive. You have to make a change. You have to move when an opportunity presents itself. If you sit there and wait, you lose the opportunity to push, and then eventually you will be killed, and you will be forced to fall back, and you will lose. You have to push when you have an opportunity. If you sit around and wait too long, you will not gain any ground. You have a lot of responsibility as a medic, but don't let that stress get to you. The key thing to keep in mind when you're playing medic is you have to keep yourself calm. You have to just keep a calm and collected mindset and be constantly analyzing the situation. Okay, what do we need to do? What needs to be done? What's not going right? Etc. Etc. For these reasons, a lot of times your medic will be caller, and he'll be calling to push. He'll be telling where your team needs to go, what they need to be doing. He'll tell you, hey, spy, go do this. Hey, Pyro, you need to be here. Engineer, go build there. Sniper, go pick off this guy. Hey, soldier, go roam. Heavy, stick with me. Heavy, stick with me. Demo, come get heals. He'll be calling out a lot of stuff. And that's fine and dandy. And that's usually what most medics will be doing. But if your medic is the kind of person who is, he has a lot on his mind and he needs to constantly be assessing the situation, it might not be best for him to be caller and be doing his normal job as a medic. What will happen sometimes is that you have the caller will be the demo, the heavy, or sometimes it'll be the pyro or some other class. The caller should be someone who is able to be looking at the situation and be able to constantly be getting the information that they need to make a push with. The caller needs to be someone who is able to constantly keep an eye on the battlefield and able to take in all this information and determine, we can push on this or we can act on this. As a medic, you should also be keeping in mind that yes, while it is your job to keep your team alive, your safety should be coming first. You should not be putting yourself in a position where you're going to be killed. If your teammates are putting you into a position where you're going to be fucked up, get the hell out or abandon them. Abandon them until a point where they're coming to you, you're not going to them. Because if they're putting you in a constantly bad situation, they are not worth healing. Because what they're going to do, they're going to put you in a situation that you do not want to be in, and you will be killed. And if they're going to be putting you into those aggressive situations, they better be fucking aware of what they're doing, and they better be ready to protect you. Because, as I said before, you are the most important class. Without you, the team cannot push, they cannot hold. Because they don't have heals, obviously. And it's only a matter of time before the enemy team will pop the Uber on you. Most of the time, what the medic will do, he'll spread the heals and then he'll immediately push. So, make sure that you have a good heavy who knows how to protect you. You have a good Demoman who knows how to put out the damage when he needs to, and he needs to keep on focused on being alive, because whenever you push in with an Uber or crits, a Demo should be your primary Uber target because he can deal out the most damage. Obviously, an Ubered heavy will scare people off. People will see an Ubered heavy and they will flee, or they will notice that, hey, he may be a big brick wall and I can't kill him, but we can. He doesn't have as much damage output as we do, so they might just wait for you to wear off, and then they'll push in on you and overwhelm you. You need to push with something that can deal out the damage and be fast as well, which is why the Demo is one of the more preferred classes to Uber or crits with. So you also make sure that your Pyro is with you, because with your Pyro is with you, you can also use the Pyro to air blast enemies back and give your team room to work with, because then they can actually do some damage and they can take out the sentry gun, etc., etc. You want to be sure that your soldier is there with you as well, in case your Demo or your heavy dies and you have someone to fall back onto. You want to be sure that you have as many people alive when you push as possible. And if you don't have as many people as alive as they do, then you probably need to wait a little bit longer to push. And this is just all coming out from my personal game sense and my personal knowledge of the game. And I might be wrong on many, many accounts. And if I am, please feel free to correct me. As I said before, this is all based on personal opinions. So, with that said, let's move on to the next class. Sniper. Oop, that's not Sniper. This is Sniper. Sniper, pretty basic. Your job is to kill people. You should be killing as many people as you possibly can and getting picks as often as possible. And as well, you should be calming out what you see down the scope. If you see the combo is going a certain way, calm that out. If you see the spies coming in, you saw what skies he had, call that out. If you see their sniper, call out where he is. And if you're having trouble finding their sniper, ask the spy to calm him out so you can kill him. Because once the enemy sniper goes down, that means you're free to do whatever the hell you want. And you can get as many picks on the enemy team as possible. And you want to be calling out when you do damage. If the enemy heavy, for example, takes 150, call that out. That's really useful information to your team. And I'm about to... No, never mind. Okay, I can keep going. My bad. So yeah, as I was saying before, if you shoot the heavy or whatever class in the head and they take a certain amount of damage, call that out, because that is very useful information to your team. When you kill a medic or whoever, call that out as well, because that information is huge. If you kill the medic, the Demo, or the heavy, there goes their combo. That goes most of their pushing power. That's one. To put it to you in layman's terms, the medic, Demo, and heavy equate for 60% of their team combined. That's 60% of their team right there. Yes, the other classes have their importance as well, but those classes are key to success. If they go down, then your team has some serious problems, because you're not going to be able to push, you're not going to be able to hold, etc., etc. And obviously, this all depends on the map and what you're doing and what your team is doing, etc., etc. But generally, that's the rule of thumb. The mech, Demo, and heavy are the most important classes. So, as I said before, sniper's job, kill people. And if you want to contrast the spy to the sniper, spy is high risk, high reward, while the sniper is high reward but lower risk. The only real risk you have is aim. If you want to put it in layman's terms, the sniper has more control over the risk that he has. His only real risk is his ability to aim. His ability to be in the proper position and have good aim. Whereas the spy, his risks are out of his control. Unless he's using a dead ringer, in which case he can control most of those random factors that otherwise would be out of his control. He can, if there's something goes wrong, he can just, feign and get the fuck out. You as a sniper, you just have to worry about hitting your mark. That is your primary job. And hopefully that's not too confusing. And if it is, I'll just sum it up for you. Shoot at person, kill them, call it out. Or damage person with body shot or headshot, call it out. See someone, call it out. Pretty simple. Right. Moving on to spy. The spy has 3 primary jobs: picking, comms, and paranoia. I'll discuss picking. As I said before, kill the demo, kill the medic, kill the heavy. If you can't kill them, go after the main problem players. If the soldier's causing a huge problem, kill him. If the sniper's causing a problem, kill him. If the engineer is obviously causing a problem, which he will on payload maps, for example, kill him. You want to go after the combo or the main problem players on the team, or the main carries or callers. Caller especially. If you kill the enemy team's caller, they are screwed because what's going to happen is the caller will go down, and then the rest of their offensive push crumbles or their hold crumbles. Because if there's no one to call the shots, he's not allowed to call the shots, then they're going to be forced to retreat. Generally, not always true, but generally going for the caller is a pretty good thing to do. But generally, as a spy, you would only be going for the mech, demo, and heavy, and if all else fails, go for the problem player or go for the caller. That's picking. Now, if you can't go for picks, which will often be the case because as a spy, you do have a lot of risks. You don't have, yes, the ambassador and the revolver are all good and dandy, but you don't have the same amount of damage output as the other classes, and you don't have the same DM or combat potential. So, often cases, you'll be left to go for picks, and oftentimes your picks will fail because you will be countered, you will be shut down. And if that's the case, then you still can do something for your team. Reconnaissance. You have the ability to get behind enemy lines and call out what you see. No other class can do that because if they get seen, they are dead. You have the ability to be invisible. Use it. Get behind enemy lines with the cloak and dagger, sit in one spot, call out what you see. Call out the enemy team's uber charge, call out where their medic is, call out what medic gun he's using, call out where the combo is, call out where the engineer is, call out where the sniper is, call out who is going behind their lines, call out what the spy is disguised as, call out everything you see. Paint a picture with your comms, as my friend Fixer so politely puts it. You want to be painting a picture with the comms. You want to be giving your team a visual image of what's going on. If you're doing that with your job as a spy with the comms, you are doing just fine. Getting kills is a part of your job, but top fragging as a spy is not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. That's not your only job. Your points only mean so much. If you can have the most points on your team, but if your kills don't make a difference and they don't force a change in the game, or they just don't do anything, then getting a lot of kills doesn't really do you any good now, does it? If you're going after the same person over and over again and he's not really contributing to anything to his team, that doesn't really help your team out now, does it? When you go for picks, you should be going for people that will actually make a difference. Killing the medic, the demo, and the heavy makes a difference. Killing a scout or a spy who you just have to run into a lot does nothing. That doesn't do shit for your team because that's not your job. You should be killing the scout or the spy. You should be killing the combo or killing the problem players. Reconnaissance, as I said before, call out everything you can. And the third thing, paranoia. Paranoia is the fear of the spy. Because of the spy's abilities, you have this certain aspect where people will hunt you down to the ends of the earth. You are a huge distraction. Huge distraction. People will drop whatever it is they're doing and they will come after you. That is a huge fucking deal. That means that if you're using Dead Ringer and the enemy team sees you, if they're like about to push in and the Pyro sees you, he'll be like, hey, I'm gonna go kill that spy. And the combo is left wide open to a bomb. For example, if the heavy is not paying attention and the Pyro's not paying attention, the mech is wide open for a bomb. Or he's wide open for a kill by the scout or a sniper. You can distract people so easily as a spy, it's not even funny. And that is what you should be doing the majority of the time. You should be trying to distract people if you're using the Dead Ringer. You should use your gun to, put pressure on the team, create openings until you can get a stab. Or create openings for stabs, as I should say. And while you're doing this, people focus on you. They'll want to come after you, and they'll abandon their posts. They will abandon whatever it is they're doing to come after you. And when they do that, that means that it leaves gaps and openings for your team to work on. or for your other classes to work on, rather, I should say. In other words, you can be you can harass the enemy team just by your presence, just by merely being there as a spy. It's pretty much how it's pretty much a spy in a nutshell. Fear, comms, picking. That's pretty much it. And when you start thinking of it that way, it's actually pretty easy because you start to realize um, what effect that the spy has on the battlefield and what he can do. Now, obviously, I'm a spy main, so therefore I have much more to say about the spy than the classes, but this is just coming from what I've seen on the battlefield. The spy can do a lot for his team. A good spy can change the tide of change the tide of the battlefield in his team's favor. He can make things go in his team's favor. I'm repeating myself a lot. I apologize, but he can basically cause his team to win. He can break a stalemate. He can sway. He can sway things in his team's direction. I am trying so hard not to repeat myself. I apologize. But, yeah. That's Spy's job in a nutshell. And since we're talking about Spy, I'm going to discuss a few things real quick. For each watch excels in different areas. The Invest watch is great for picking. The Cloak and Dagger is great for reconnaissance. And the Dead Ringer is great for distraction, paranoia. It is an amazing paranoia tool because the enemy will constantly be afraid of where you are at all times. And a lot of times, if you're changing up your watch choice so much, they will not even realize you're dead. They'll think you're using you're using the Dead Ringer when you're really using the Cloak and Dagger or the Invist watch. And a lot of times you can make them think, hey, he's probably using the Cloak and Dagger when you're actually using the Invisibility watch, or vice versa. Changing your watch choice up a lot really helps out in your unpredictability. Same thing goes for your knife. If you're changing up between the bicycle and the stock knife, or hell, you decide to run the Eternal Reward out of nowhere, that changes the way the enemy team looks at you, and it causes them to change their playstyle or change what they're doing. That certain amount of unpredictability that you have as a spy, you should constantly be trying to maintain that. And with that said, you should not be trying to go for trick stabs. There are situations where you are forced to go for a trick stab, and you can do that with plausible intent or using the enemy's paranoia or fear to your advantage. But going for trick stabs consistently makes you more predictable. That is something you do not want. If they know you're going to try for a trick stab, they will kill you. They will fucking kill you. You should not be trying to go for a trick stab every time you can. You should only go for a trick stab when you know it's going to fucking work. And you do this by creating a plausible intent. For example, if you break the enemy's line of sight around a corner, say I go around this corner right here. I go over here, go around this corner. I'm not looking at the enemy, so they still think I'm running away. I break their line of sight, go around this corner, looking away from them. Then I turn around and come back around for a stab. Or I'm going up these flat stairs. Again, I know the enemy's behind me, but I'm not looking at them. I'm predicting where they're going. And then I jump up in the air and go backward. Crunch stab. If the enemy obviously is running at me with their melee, they're getting really aggressive. You can use that aggression to your advantage. They'll go this way, then the melee straps back around for a strafe and snap. Or Matador. Savvy calls it strafe and snap, I call it Matador. It's the same fucking thing, basically. It's all just terminology and what people choose to call it. You also want to be having a height advantage. The reason for this is because if you have a height advantage, this means that you're in a secure spot where you can observe the enemy team and make a choice on what kind of pick you want to get. And if something happens, you can just immediately jump and run. Height advantage is a great thing because you can constantly be looking at the enemy and not be putting yourself at a high risk scenario. You're in a low risk area and constantly able to keep an eye on the enemy team and what they're doing. That is amazing for Spy. That is great because it gets rid of a lot of things that will otherwise be out of your control. If you put yourself at a low height advantage or at a height disadvantage, if you want to call it that, you could still trick stab with that. If the Pyro example is above you and he thinks you're going this way, he's following you, he's following you, he's following you. You immediately go out this way, and you get a nice little understab on him because he'll go to the left, and you go back around to the right. Very basic understabbing, and it works on a lot of players. Understabs work on a ton of different players because naturally, when one has the height advantage, they assume they have the immediate advantage on a spy. But a good spy will use that height advantage to his own personal uses, and he'll get an understab out of that. It works on soldiers who are rocket jumping on you and they don't quite fire the rocket. It will work on scouts who are chasing you and you just go down and get a quick little understab on them, or they're trying to jump over you, for example. It works on pyros who are chasing you and don't ground stall you. It works in a lot of different situations. So understabs, corner stabs, matador stabs, and crunch stabs are pretty much the only stabs you want to do. Keep things blind if you can, because if it's blind, as in you're not looking at the enemy, you are guessing where they are going, they will not suspect a stab. They will assume you are running away because you are not looking directly at them. You break eye contact and keep on your designated path. By doing that, you decrease the chances of them expecting a stab, for example. If I'm going up this staircase, obviously I can just jump back, do whatever, and they won't see it coming because most spies, they'll look directly at someone and then try to do a stab, not realizing they're giving the enemy a plausible intent. They're giving them a reason to suspect a stab. So yeah, I could go on for hours about this sort of thing, and I could talk about Spy for hours, and I'll just save it for Addendum 5 and for other commentaries. But yeah, I'll go ahead and go over the various rules of classes again real quickly. Okay, Scout, objective oriented, cleaner, picker, hit and run, protects flanks, cleans up after an Uber. I just said that. Stays with the team. He can spy check, etc., etc. Soldier fills in the gaps of the team. He can fulfill any role that his other teammates are not fulfilling. If he needs to put out damage, if he needs to spy check, etc., etc., the soldier can fill that role. His strength is his versatility. Pyro, his job is offensive support and pressure, crowd control, and of course spy checking. But spy checking is it's not just the Pyro's role. Every class should be spy checking. Every class should be calling out where the spy is, etc., etc. But the Pyro's primary job is support or push, support or hold, put pressure on the enemy team, and force them to act in a predictable manner, and control positions on the map. Knock back at Ubers, reflect the crits Krieg rocket, etc., etc. Demo. Bleh. I almost called him Damo. Demoman. Damage. That is your job. Put out damage. Use your sticks for putting out damage. If someone gets in your face, hit them with pills. Do not use the grenades for doing the job of the stickies. Put these things all the way out there. Do not use these for doing that job. Heavy. Mobile area denial. Mobile roadblock. You should be forcing the enemy to retreat. You should be scaring the fuck out of them because you are there. Your presence forces a retreat. But you should not be getting too aggressive. Because you are a primary part of the team, you should not be getting too aggressive. You die, your team loses a good percentage of their push or their hold. You should be making the enemy retreat. Your job's not to kill them, just to make them go away. Engineer. Put up a base. Set up a place for your team to fall back to or to hold. Put teleporters up to get them across the map. Put dispensers to get them health and ammo. Put sentry guns to give them a sense of protection. Give them a sense of, oh man, I'm so lit, I gotta fall back. Oh man, that's a sentry gun, it'll protect me while I get heals. Etc., etc. Medic. Keep everybody alive. You are the main pushing class. Without you, there is no push, there is no hold. Keep yourself alive at all costs. And call out things. Not call out things. Call out when you want to push, call out when you want to hold. Call out what your team should be doing. Command your team. You are fucking a Bison. There's a reason why you had that Bison hat. Fucking do it. You are the commander. Command your team. Sniper. Point. Click. Kill things. And if they're not dead, call out how much damage they took and where they are. Spy. Kill people. Call things out. Be a distraction. That is your job. And that is the jobs of all the classes in Highlander. And this video is way too fucking long, but I hope it's really informative and really helps you guys understand the roles of the classes. Thank you for watching, and thanks for being subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you guys around. Good night.